Steve Nolan, Major, United States Air Force, retired, career mental health officer, Army and Air Force, Afghanistan veteran. And when I retired from the military, I ran a PTSD clinic for the VA for 5 years. I'm here reading from my book. I published a book this summer, July 2020, American Carnage, An Officer's Duty to Warn. I felt a duty as a clinician and as a career military officer to write a book about our Commander-in-Chief's unfitness for command and mental unfitness for command. And I'm piggybacking on a lot of work, as it turns out, with Bob Woodward and a slew of books. But the president's niece, Mary Trump, wrote one at least as a mental health professional. And her take on how this family, and a family, very dysfunctional and abusive family, produced this man, who she calls the most dangerous man on the planet. And John Bolton, National Security Advisor, wrote a book, sort of a tell-all book of what it was like to be up close and personal in the room where it happened, is the name of his book, saying how bizarre all of these interactions were with the president, with particularly Ukraine and North Korea. Things that really, the actions are so off the scale, abnormal, that they run into what I'm talking about, which is diagnostic material of mental pathology on the part of the president, although John Bolton is not a mental health professional, so he can only say that it was wrong, it was scary, it was frightening, it was something the likes of which he's never seen, and that his conclusion is that the president is unfit for command and he will not be voting for him. I want to read from the very end of the book, the conclusions of the book, if I may. The president-elect was briefed by intelligence personnel about Russian cyber warfare and its interference in the campaign. This included the fact that Russian interference was targeted to help his campaign and to damage Hillary Clinton. He immediately went public, casting doubt on our intelligence community, and spent the next 3 years calling proven U.S. intelligence fake and a hoax, and efforts to uncover Russian espionage a witch hunt. He denied that he knew of the Trump Tower meeting with the Russian operatives to get dirt on Hillary Clinton, even though his son-in-law, and campaign manager attended. But in an interview with the New York Times, July 19, 2017, the president said that if someone called up and said, "By the way, we have information on your opponent," who wouldn't have taken a meeting like that? This was a display of unacceptable ignorance about the legal prohibitions on foreign interference in an American election. He repeated this when he told George Stephanopoulos in June 2019 that he would accept such a meeting in the future if the opportunity arose. This is diagnostic of narcissists, their struggle with determining right from wrong. Normal people evaluate issues such as this by using their moral or ethical compass. But this does not happen with NPD. They put everything through the filter of their own personal benefit exclusively. And they behave as if what they do or say is not shocking or controversial, because to them it is not. The letter from Attorney General Barr to U.S. Senate and House Judiciary Committees stated, "While this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him." By the next day, the president was telling the American people that he was exonerated, in flagrant contradiction to the report on enemy interference. The nation, apparently so used to his lying, once again did not respond normally. This stop the presses moment was treated as if his almost daily lies on this subject were an alternative truth. This is not helped by the fact that congressional leaders, so partisan, failed to protect the American people from a foreign attack. On May 6, 2019, more than 1,000 former federal prosecutors who served under Republican and Democratic administrations issued a joint statement maintaining that if Trump weren't president of the United States, he would have been indicted on multiple charges of obstruction of justice. The leadership in the House of Representatives decided to charge the president with abuse of power, withholding arms shipments to Ukraine in exchange for a personal favor, and obstruction of Congress, refusal to answer congressional subpoenas and provide documents legally sought under the authority of congressional investigation. He was never charged with obstruction of justice. At the end of the impeachment hearing trial, Congress voted along strict party lines, with a unanimous Republican vote in the House and only one dissenting vote in the Senate. The president's obstruction persists to this day. He continues to call proven and ongoing Russian cyber warfare against the United States a hoax. Final thoughts. The author of A Warning by Anonymous, a senior Trump administration official, ends the book with the story of Flight 93, which crashed in an open field in Pennsylvania on September 11th, 2001, and highlights the bravery and action of the passengers who decided to rush the cockpit and overpower the hijackers. The author pays tribute to Todd Beamer, an account manager whose leadership in the moment led to that decision, and his now famous last words, "Let's roll." American history is filled with many such heroes. Both my parents served in World War II. My two older brothers served in Vietnam, and I served in Afghanistan. We all witnessed tremendous sacrifices for this country. My father-in-law was shot 3 times by a Japanese Zero and miraculously survived. His younger brother John was killed on Iwo Jima, strafed across the abdomen by machine gun fire. I often think of him in the landing craft going toward that beach and the commitment that he and so many others were willing to make to pay the ultimate sacrifice for their country and for freedom. Then I think of the many members of our present Congress who are thus far unwilling to even risk re-election. I hope that some, or many, have a change of heart, conscience, and muster enough courage to act selflessly on behalf of our democracy before it's too late.